This past week at Public Square, we had an interesting day. There were three of us that came out. It was myself and Tom, and then there was Sarah, who is from my church. There were some definite things that I'd like to share with you. For example, I almost got beat up at the square. But it's not because of what you think. Most people are probably thinking, oh great, what did Ryan say to get himself almost beat up? Well, the problem is there wasn't anything that I said to get beat up. And I'm sure now you're thinking, yeah, right, you didn't say anything to provoke it. I really didn't. And here's how I know that I didn't say anything to provoke it. We had just got done setting up. Just got done putting up our signs, just got done praying, just got done getting the amp up and running. And as I was introducing our group, introducing myself, which I do every Saturday, I get up on the box and I say, hi everyone, my name's Ryan, we're with me for JC, yada yada. As I was doing that, this guy comes barreling right at me. Starts going off, every curse word in the book going at me. Says, there is no God, how dare you come out here, say that crap. And obviously I use nicer terminology than he's using. But I literally was like, I think I'm going to get beat up here, and I didn't do anything. I totally understand if I do something and get beat up for it. I asked for it at that point, but I didn't even ask for it. Well, as he was ranting away and finally walking away, he mentioned that his daughter had died. So at that moment I knew exactly what the problem was. This man who Tom later told me that he saw this man drinking heavily over by the bus stop. This man was angry with God because his daughter died. Now I don't blame the guy. I understand that viewpoint. And when he said that he had lost his daughter, I hadn't been saying anything to him. I was just letting him go because I didn't want to do anything to provoke him further. But as he was walking away, I finally said, I'm sorry to hear about your daughter. Now, could I have gone further with that? Could I have tried to do other things with him or get him to stay and build a crowd or something? Probably, but I didn't feel that was what I needed to do. I gave him the apology about his daughter. That's all I could think of to do. You know, I can't imagine being in that position, losing one of my daughters, and not having at least some bitterness. But at the same time, I have a relationship with the true God, Jesus Christ. And I know that no matter what, God is in control. So I would probably be upset for a little while, but I would still come back to God. Still come back to Him, because He's the only one that can keep me from going to hell. So there was that guy who, by the way, he came back like an hour or two later and didn't address me specifically, but stood like right in front of me, right off to the side of me, on his cell phone, trying to get someone's attention. I guess he was meeting somebody. For the life of me, I thought he was calling a bunch of gang members to come beat me up or something. I don't know, but he ended up leaving because whoever he was meeting was in the wrong area. So that was interesting. We also had a lady who professed to be Christian, but said that all gods are okay. You're still going to heaven as long as you believe in God. Tried to talk with her, tried to discuss with her why that's not true, but she would not have it. She kept shutting me down, kept trying to walk away, and it was heartbreaking to see just that wall up with the lie that she believed. It was almost like dealing with a cult member. Many cult members will do that. They believe so strongly in their false doctrines that they will have that wall up the second you mention anything about God or Jesus. And it's so unfortunate because that shows the condition of their heart, that it has been hardened, that their conscience is seared, that there's almost, keyword almost, no reaching them. God can do anything. Then there was another guy whose name escapes me at the moment. I believe he may have been slightly mentally challenged. I'm not certain though. But he was there for one of my open airs and was went over and talked with him afterwards because he seemed to be really paying attention. And I said, you heard the whole message. What do you think? He said, oh yeah, it was a good message. I said, okay, so if you were to die today, where are you going, heaven or hell? Okay, well, you remember what I said up there? How do you get to heaven? Well, you got to do good things. That's not what I said up there. What did I say up there? So, granted, like I said, he may have been slightly mentally challenged, so I took that into consideration, and I basically re-went over everything that I shared in the open air. And, I went over it each point a couple of times with him and made sure I told him, repentance and trust in Jesus. I gave him some material, sent him on his way. It was wonderful to be able to talk with that gentleman. And then I'll never forget, there was one more person that sticks out. There was a young lady who was rollerblading around the square. Unfortunately, she was not very modestly dressed and had a lot of guys approaching her. The reason I noticed her was as I was doing an open air, she caught my eye. I saw her in the corner of my eye, and I look over, and this girl is just hanging. It appeared like she was hanging on to every word coming out of my mouth. And I tried not to pay attention to her because she was not modestly dressed. I didn't want to lust. So I kept turning away and kept going with my message. But I kept seeing her in my peripheral, just standing there on the corner, just staring, listening to everything coming out of my mouth. And it was even to a point where, like I said earlier, there were guys that kept coming up to her, approaching her. And there was a guy who'd come up on a bicycle to talk to her. And I could see that while she was trying to be nice and talk to him, she kept trying to focus on the message. And that was just amazing to see that. To see God working on the heart of this young lady. You never know who God's working on. You never know who has a seed already planted in them, who's already had it watered. You never know who God is working on, growing that seed, getting it ready for a harvest. Now that young lady on the corner, she left before I was able to go over and talk to her. She left like right after my message finished, or right about the ending of it. I have no idea what happened to that girl. I have no idea if she's saved. I don't know anything about her, but I do know that God was working on her heart that day. So those are a couple of accounts from this past Saturday at Public Square. And these are just some accounts of what happened at Public Square. For me personally, I know Tom has some things that happened, Sarah had some things that happened, and hopefully one day this vlog will expand to include other people besides just me. But I encourage you to take time out of your busy schedule and go into the world, go into the mission field, and share Christ with the lost. You probably watch this video to hear about how God is working in the world, about what God, to find out what God is doing. Why settle for what I have to say? Why not experience it firsthand? The mission field is out there. It's waiting for you. Proclaim His gospel. Glorify Him. Until next week, may God bless you.